Okay, finally got the software up and running. So I have more camera issues, so I had some footage of me running around bank fishing, which is always fun, just because, I mean, you really get to see how fish react instead of having a boat and just like moving on and going. You can actually kind of get in the little nooks and crannies where fish don't see too many boats. But a lot of the areas I'm going are just little ponds, and they get highly pressured. So what I wanted to bring up, I was talking to somebody, and they were kind of asking me how I was catching fish out there. So, and I saw a lot of people, and it's pretty advanced now. It seems like people have learned a lot about bass fishing. So I see them throwing like little Ned rigs or whatnot. But a lot of these ponds, they're they have various vegetation, or they see that a lot. That's just an easy rig. People throw that, or they're throwing frogs or whatnot. But one of the things that I use, you want to keep your tackle to a minimum unless you got a good backpack. But a lot of times I'm just on the whim, so I just pick up a rod, maybe a little pack of something. But the most underrated, I think, bank fishing technique, which I haven't seen too many people talk about, is it's actually a drop shot rig. And I just take my normal spinning setup here. Let me get, which is like a 6'8", 6'10", medium light, and it allows me. I can just run around with the single rod if I have to. I mean, most of the time when I'm bank fishing, I end up grabbing like 3 or 4 rods and a bunch of stuff. But if I'm just running, if I'm disciplined enough, I'll just grab one rod, and it's just my drop shot rod. But the reason why the drop shot itself is such a versatile bank fishing lure is, one, it's just a great finesse bait, and you can go behind people. So, I mean, I usually tie for bank fishing. I start with a little bit shorter leader. But here's the other thing. So, in itself, it's just a drop shot rig, and whatever. Everybody knows about that, and everybody can comprehend that or know how to rig it for the most part. But when I'm fishing around the weeds, nose hook it. This bait's already been used quite a bit, but normally it'd be in there. So the point isn't in there. You can get through weeds, and then you got your wacky rig, and then the gill rig, which everybody knows that stuff. Here's what people don't realize. So I've even done this at the lake. If you watch through the last video I put up, what I'll do is sometimes this, especially in clear water ponds, they get a little pressure. When you toss this in there, they get spooked by that. Even you can be a tactician, which I like to think of myself as a tactician of putting this drop shot or flipping this little drop shot into places. But what happens is sometimes they get spooked, or they can even see you before you see them. So what I do when that happens, if I notice the fish are doing that, is I just go and just pop this little weight off here. So I just throw this in my pocket, and then I just have the hook here. Of course, I got like 6-7 pound fluoro on here. And then I'll just nose hook this again, like that, and throw it like a small soft jerk bait, it sounds simple, but most people don't do that. And it's an awesome way to catch fish, and I'll go behind people. One, it's very subtle, like a 4-inch little drop shot, where it might even go smaller than this, and catch fish. One, it's very subtle. 2, you catch a 1 pounder and it feels like it's a blast. And 3, it's weedless. Besides your knot area on this, you're going to get a little bit of vegetation on it. You just got to clean it off. But anyway, that's why this is the most underrated technique, is primarily that. So anyway, if they're not, let's say they're not spooked by the weight, but your leader here is super long, and you're bank fishing, so you don't have all the extra leader material that you would typically have on a boat. So sometimes I'll just tie an extra long leader, or 18 inches, but then what I'll do is I'll just bring this thing up right here. So you can even take it up, and you just go and pinch that line. And then, this is an over-exaggerated version, but let's say, because a lot of times when you're fishing ponds, it's skinny water, so I'll do that. Even though it has a little extra leader, I mean, usually it's no worse for the wearer. I mean, most fish don't even care, but they do care about noise, and they do care about certain things that are close to the bottom. and that's a quick way to shorten your leader. I mean, I don't know how many people think of that, but it's just something that I do that I see that people don't do bank fishing. And if you're a kid, man, this is the awesome thing to do. Is just that way you can minimalize stuff. If you're on a bike, you maybe have a backpack or maybe you don't. All you need is this and a couple of worms. You want to bring more worms, I'll tell you that, because when you do fish this weightless, you'll go through them. The fish will tear them up, especially if you're using a pretty high quality little 4-inch worm. But what I do is when I am boat fishing and I tear a worm up like this, I put it in another pack instead of tossing it or throwing it away, and that'll be my pond bag, and I'll go take those to the ponds and whatnot, and catch another 3-4 fish off of it. And then so anyway, on the drop shot thing, so you can also, so this is like I start with a 1/4 ounce. I take a number of different weights. You just toss a couple in your pocket. I mean, that's what you want to stay light. So if you're a kid on a bike, man, you can just take a drop shot rod and do a number of different tactics on there. You can even turn that into a little Tokyo rig, like I was showing you. Put the weight all the way almost up there, and then I just take a couple different color worms, maybe even a little minnow deal. But that's the most underrated system or setup for bank fishing. You can even change rods if you need to. You can go to a bigger rod depending on where you're at in the country. Where I'm at or in the West, I like that setup, the same setup I use for my drop shotting. With I use 6-pound braid, and then I will tie a 6 to 7 pound leader, maybe even go to 4. But anyway, talk to you later.